Soul to Soul. We are a weekly broadcast for dance teachers, studio owners, and those who have a passion for dance education. It is about celebrating the dance life, highlighting our common bond, and the chance to share both the triumphs and struggles within the field that we all love so much. Be sure to check out all our broadcasts at regold.com.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Soul to Soul. Thank you for spending your Friday night with us. I'm so glad you're here. Soul to Soul is about authenticity and sharing our passion for the art of dance that we all love so much. For those of you who are new to our broadcast, be sure to check out regold.com for past Soul to Soul episodes, and you can learn more about our events and activities for dance teachers and studio owners. Tonight, we welcome a special guest. Her name is Terry Mangiarati. She's a successful studio owner, speaker, entrepreneur, and a leader in our field, and a mom of two teenage sons. She'll share her expertise, her experience, and I'm really excited to welcome her a little later in our program. Soul to Soul next Friday will feature Amanda Herring, Patty Neal, and Deborah Steele. All three are studio owners from around the country, and they'll share their strategies for survival and success in our new dance world. In the comments box, please let us know where you're from. I see Pam Simpson, E-Ray, Erin Ray, hello and welcome. Let us know where you're from. We're excited that you're here. Also, thank you to our friends at Dance the Magic for sponsoring this episode. We will learn more about them a little later in our program. So let's see, we have Florida. I see Michelle from Massachusetts. Luann from Michigan, I believe. Ohio. Debbie Lamontagne saying this is wicked awesome. Buffalo, New York. Hello, Miss Patty. Susie from Canada. Alabama. How cool is that? So let me grab my notes here. And want to start our show off today thinking about the ability to take a compliment is the best way to say this. Sit back for a second. This is what's on my mind. Look at this, Jody Farrer, New York, New Orleans, Ontario, Pennsylvania. So cool. So glad you're here. Dance teachers sharing the passion. How cool is that? Sit back, relax, and listen for 1 second. How long has it been since you caught your reflection in the mirror and thought about how happy you were just to be you? Do you ever pat yourself on the back for a job well done? If your immediate reaction to these questions is discomfort, I have two questions for you. Why, and what are you waiting for? Mary Jane is a dance teacher who has achieved almost every career goal she has ever set for herself. In fact, her accomplishments exceed anything she's ever imagined. Yet, the feeling of satisfaction eludes her. At each high point in her career, she brushes it off and speeds ahead into the next thing because she believes that will be what makes her truly happy or satisfied. Sound familiar? When fans bestow accolades on her at school performances, she responds, "Thanks. but the music could have been better. Or yes, but I wish I had sold more tickets. She can't simply say thank you. The idea of acknowledging a job well done makes her uncomfortable. She envies other teachers' successes because she thinks they're so much happier than she is. It never crosses her mind that those people might be thinking the same thing about her. So how does someone learn to appreciate what they've accomplished and allow themselves to enjoy that elusive feeling of satisfaction? If I had the definitive answer, I'd be on the bestseller list. However, I will take a stab at it from my dance world experience. It's about taking a moment, a short one in the beginning is fine, to look at what you've accomplished. For instance, Mary Jane opened her school 10 years ago with 14 students. Today, she has more than 400. When she opened the school, she thought 200 students would make her happy. Yet, she never stopped to pat herself on the back at that milestone. When she set that goal, she should have decided on what she would do for herself when she achieved it. No, not buy new ballet bars or an upgraded sound system for her studio. Instead, a personal reward for herself and her family, like that trip to Disneyland her kids have been asking for. That kind of tangible reward would make it hard for her to downplay her achievement. The joy on her kids' faces would be a vivid reminder. Plus, each time she looked at the pictures from the trip, she would be reminded that she had reached her goal. She had achieved. What I'm suggesting means thinking about the good things in your life, not about what you don't have or wish you had. Especially in these times. Teach yourself to accept compliments instead of responding, yes, but. Change that response to thank you. That means a lot to me. Then take a few seconds or more, it's okay, to relish the compliment and stop believing that others are happier or more successful than you are, because they're probably in the same boat. Dance teachers are special people who have achieved through perseverance, because much of the rest of the world believes that dance is a nice hobby, but not a career. That just might be the reason we're always seeking to achieve more. But next time you see a smile on a child's face because she just learned a new step, or tried on her first costume, realize that what you do, and I mean this, helps to change the world and makes the future brighter. That alone is an accomplishment, and it's not one to forget. Appreciate the gifts of dance that you've received, as well as the people you pass those gifts on to. That should be enough to make anyone feel satisfied. So guys, ladies, gentlemen, this is about being able to say, when someone says, you look good today, to just turn around or answer back, thank you, instead of, oh, but don't you think my hair's too short? Oh, but you know that most people say things that they really mean, and our issue is that we don't believe them. Pat yourself on the back. You're making a difference in this world. We are living through some of the toughest times that we have ever lived through as humankind. But at the same time, we're still dancing. We're still passing that gift on. We're still figuring out new ways to bring dance to kids. We need art. We need the spirit that dance teachers have. Take your gift and do the best you can with it in these times. Okay, I see everybody wrote where they're from. Now I want everybody to write that you just patted, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, yourself on the back. Okay, now let us go to this place. Our sponsors for this program are Dance the Magic. And before we go to learn anything more about them, I want to say Debbie Barr has supported the Regold Company and all of our events, our conferences for a long time. She is the director of Dance the Magic, and I couldn't be more honored to have her as a sponsor of our program. Learn a little bit about Dance the Magic.
Hi, my name is Julie K. Stallcup, and I own Revolution Dance Center. We have been a part of Dance the Magic for years, and the reason that we love this team so much is because of the quality that they bring to their product. My dancers absolutely love stepping out on that street and performing. The staff is fantastic. I can't say enough about how amazing this team is.
Thank you again, Dance the Magic. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to present our special guest. When we were talking before the program, she wanted to know what we were going to talk about. I decided not to tell her. I have some really cool questions for her. And I admire, before she comes on the screen, I admire her toughness, her ability to keep going in times that are tough, and her ability to be a leader, like living up to what the definition of leader is to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to welcome Terry Mangiarati. How are you, my friend?
Good. Thanks for having me. I was ready to chasse in with your Dance the Magic commercial.
You can chasse in anytime. Maybe I'll allow you to chasse out. Thank you so much for being with us. As we start, I ask all of our guests to come with a quote that kind of best expresses what you're thinking and feeling at this time. Would you share that with us, Miss Terry?
I will. It's a little bit long. Is that okay?
Oh, totally.
Go with me.
Soul to Soul has no rules.
Okay, great. So I love Brené Brown. So a lot of my dance friends know her. She's an author. She's got a great podcast that I love to listen. I was just listening to before I hopped on with you. And she introduced me to this quote. Well, the world, I get a lot of people to this quote. It's a Roosevelt quote. And then she added a little something to it. But I will tell you, I'm sure you've heard it before, but I love this one. It says, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And then she adds, if you are not in the arena also getting your ass kicked, I am not interested in your feedback. And I love that part. I love the first quote, and then I love how she puts her little Brené Brown spin on it. And I think, I don't know, I kind of think about that a lot. And I think that we as dance people and artists and studio owners, sometimes worry too much about the feedback from people who just aren't in the arena with us at all. So I think I like to think about that a little bit when I'm getting feedback coming from all areas. I'm like, actually, you're not in the arena at all, and I'm not interested in your feedback. That's how it feels to me. My internal voice, not my external voice, but what's going on inside. Not interested in your feedback. You're not in the arena. But for those who are, I'm interested in your feedback. Right?
I love it.
I love that.
And you know, so many people in our times are judging everything that other people do. And my answer is, especially in our world, our dance world, let us do what we know best.
Mm-hmm.
Trust us. Okay, so Miss Terry, I have a question I want to start off with that as long as we've been working together, and I want everybody to know that we've been working together for a decade or so, I would say.
Yikes. Yeah.
Terry, I don't know that I ever asked you, when and how did you start dancing?
Okay. So I was a really late dancer. So growing up, I think I took a class when I was like a little, like 6 years old or something like that. And my dance teacher was really, really mean. And so that didn't last. I'll tell you another, remind me to go back to that, because that's a lovely way to wrap up that experience. But I was a gymnast and a cheerleader, and I did that. That's kind of what I did all my childhood. I was in and out of gymnastics and cheerleading. I never really stepped into a dance studio till I was in high school. I think I was actually a junior in high school, and I went to my with a friend who convinced me to go to her class with her, and I went with Miss Susie at Dance Concepts in my hometown and danced there, and then took everything and then started competing and then started teaching for her, and then went on to that's where it started. But yeah, I was not like a born and bred dance person, and I think that affects and kind of shapes the way I run my studio and my mission for what I do with my kids at my studio. And it's never really too late to start. And so that's kind of how I approach everything with the business. Like, you're 17 and want to try ballet class? Okay, we'll find a spot for you. The door is kind of open to everybody, like all the time. Because that was me, right? If somebody didn't let me in as a junior in high school, what would I be doing?
So did you know right away that this dance thing was going to stick, or did it take a little while?
No, I mean, I think I always loved it. Like, I was a gymnast and a cheerleader, and I was choreographing all the cheerleading things and I was already dancing, but not really as a dancer, as a cheerleader. So, yeah, I mean, that's not really what I thought I was going to do with my life, but it kind of just ran away, took on a life of its own. I went back and started coaching dance teams, and then that went on to, I started working for Universal Dance Association, which I know Trish Gomez also worked for. We traveled all over the country teaching, like kind of the dance team version of convention, like sleepover dance camps all over the country for like 6 summers. I did that, just flying from place to place, barely went home. And then I was coaching a dance team at a competition, and another coach said she was getting rid of her studio. And so I was like, okay, we'll see what happens there. I had started a youth dance team in my town, little youth dance team that just went and did halftime shows at games. But then too many people signed up for that, so I had to start another one. And then too many people signed up, so I started another one and another one. And then the parents wanted ballet and tap and other things besides just dance team. So before I knew it, I had a studio. Like it or not, that's what I was doing.
How old were you?
I was in my 20s. Like, I traveled the country and did all that from age 18 to like 27. And in there, I started the studio until eventually I just couldn't travel anymore because the studio was too busy. And I needed to be home and take care of that.
And well, before I ask you this question, I know that before the pandemic, there were about 1,200 kids flowing through the studio, yes?
I mean, I think we were at like 1,600 before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what was it like in the beginning? Did it always feel to you like it was going to keep growing, or was it really small?
I mean, it started out super small. I mean, I have my first attendance books, and there were like 30 kids in there. But every year it just kind of snowballed. I never really, and this just goes with my personality, but I never really set out to do a lot and hope the kids come. I always kind of was like doing a little, but then I had too many kids, so I had to add. It was always by demand. Too many kids were signed up, so I had to add more. And then too many kids signed up, so I had to add more. I never opened a big studio and hoped they would come. You know what I mean? So I was a little bit, that's how it worked for me.
And how long did it take before you started reaching these high numbers? I want our viewers.
I mean, we're in our 25th year right now. I would say like 15 years in, like in between year 10 and 15. I remember having a big party at the studio for when we hit like 400 kids. 400 kids is a huge goal. And I remember when we hit that, it was a big deal for us. And then, but those probably the last 10 years, it kind of got a little crazy.
So do you think that it was an advantage or a disadvantage to have such a large school when the pandemic hit?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think it was an advantage because we have a really big competition, like company program now, and we didn't before. So had this happened like maybe 5 years ago when our company group was smaller, we still had a lot of kids, but a lot smaller company group. Our company, we really kind of blew it up in the past few years, added more companies and really maxed them out and really kind of flung the doors open and let a lot of kids into the company program. And that is really what has gotten us through this. Those 90 kids have really kind of carried us. So had we had a smaller company, just for us, for how it's been going for us, I think that would have been harder.
So in your mind, as a studio that's loaded with what I'll call preschool, I don't like to use the word recreational, once a week, it was your intensive kids that carried you through?
I mean, in that very beginning, when it happened in March, they carried us through the summer because they came to everything. They came to every drop-in. They were like hungry for anything. And then once the fall hit, more of our other kids came back in, and it's a lot more of them are there now than were in the late spring and summer. But yeah, if we didn't have those company kids, we would be in a much different situation. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go somewhere else with you. I believe this to be true. I think you're an awesome leader. So my first question is, what is your definition of leadership?
That's good. I mean, my definition of leadership, I know what I try to be as a leader is relatively like steady, secure, thought out, and a good planner. And somebody who can communicate well and clearly and can kind of lay out the path that everybody needs to walk down and kind of guide them down that path as people kind of stray, kind of keep guiding everybody forward. I felt like I needed to do that in so many ways. I think that was the biggest struggle probably for all of us during all of this, was maintaining, how do I lead in this time when I don't even know what I can guarantee anybody of my staff or our students or our families, like all these different groups of people that we single-handedly need to really display such leadership in this time of like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And for some, and myself included, I think that part of that is what makes a good leader, to say, listen, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but here's how we're going to approach it. I think it was important to like recognize that we don't really know, but here are the decision I'm going to make. The most educated decision I can make is this. And then we'll see what happens. Hope for the best, work hard, and see what happens. But we can't blindly push forward. We don't know what's going to happen. I think it's a good leader to say that too. There's a little bit of transparency and good leadership too, I think. Honesty,
How has leadership in your mind, your own personal leadership, changed from before pandemic and after pandemic?
I think honestly, before we were so busy, I was so busy, it was hard. It's always something that I have to go back and work on, I think, for myself. When things start to go awry at the studio, I guess, or things start to feel a little out of control, for me personally, I feel like I have to go back to I need to be a better leader in this place right now. Whatever's happening, in the end, it starts and stops with me. So if something's going on that I don't like, I'm the one that needs to get in there and fix it. There's something that I need to do, something with my leadership that needs to fix this. So before, we were kind of just rolling. We were like a well-oiled machine. There wasn't a lot of leadership needed because the systems were in place. Everything was going. I could not show up for however long. Everything was happening because it was just like protocol. This is what we do at recital time. We do the following things. But then when it all blew up, I'm like, oh my God, okay. I need to dive in and think every day about the message I'm sending to all of my teachers, my kids, the students, the staff, the parents, and how we're going to lead through this. It's much more calculated and really hard. And I'm not perfect at it. I mean, we all have good days and bad days and good weeks and bad weeks. But I think it's important that we just circle back. And I think the communication part of it, just being present and being able to communicate. I did a lot of videos for parents and kids and staff. And even now where we're still in it, trying to get on and meet with my staff once a week and just be present and approachable and helpful and understanding and guide them. I don't know if that's a lot.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really good answer. So for our viewers tonight who are maybe a little less confident to take on that leadership role or fear that leadership role, what might you have for advice?
I mean, as soon as we do, everything kind of falls into place a little bit better. It's something we need to really focus on. Take the time to figure it out for yourself. Take the time to figure out how I can be a better leader right now. And it might be being transparent. But not so emotionally undone that you can't be relied on. There's a balance because there's a lot of times we're emotionally undone, and that is not the time to have a staff meeting about it, because they don't need that. If I do think it's helpful for them to know this is incredibly difficult. I'm super stressed about this. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna try. Here's my plan. So it's okay to be somewhat transparent. And I was very transparent with my staff in the beginning. I kind of threw open the books of what we were doing. Here's how much money we usually make during recital time that we did not make. Here's where we are. Here's how much money we've lost because of this. So I really need us to work together here. I felt like I needed to do that, especially because we are sorry, I know you're ready to jump in.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
Just because, especially I think because we are a really big school, because we have so many kids, there is the perception can be, they'll be fine. It'll be fine. They've got a bunch of kids, they'll be there. There's so many kids. We can, as parents, we can leave and come back later, they'll be fine. As teachers, it'll be fine. My fall schedule will be the same as it always is because we have so many kids. So we lost 500, not a big deal. We had 1,600. We still have, but no, we have 1,600 kids worth of bills too, so but I do think that is the perception for a lot of people.
So then let me ask you this question, because there has to be some people who are viewing tonight that are asking themselves, do I go that far with my faculty? How did you get to the point where you felt comfortable saying, hey, you guys, last year we pulled in this, and this year we're pulling in this? There are some people who would be really afraid to share that information. What made you say, I'm cool with this?
I mean, I wasn't. I was really nervous about it. I went back and forth about it, but I felt like I was so stressed about it, and I felt like I was kind of like, nobody else is as stressed as me. Like, we need to you don't understand, you know. Like,
I need you all to be stressed.
All to be stressed out with me. No, but I felt like I needed them to know a little bit, and then I did the whole, and I really was like calculated. You know, I went through the whole. You know, I had a spreadsheet, of course, people that know me, everything's about a spreadsheet, but I had my spreadsheet. It was very calculated. I wasn't just throwing numbers at them. I showed it to them on paper. But then I ended that and said, but, you know, we will be okay. I will pull us through this because we have a plan to get through this. However, this is painful and it's going to take a team effort. So, you know, you may not have as many classes as you had, or your class, you know, whatever the answer. You can't just throw all that stress at them and then be like, we're going down in flames. Like, we can't do that. But I made sure that I knew that after I was done with that, I was going to make sure they know we're going to be okay. And I always say that, like, with my meetings, like, it's going to be okay, but we do have this little thing we need to fix, right? Because they need to know that it's going to be okay.
And it is going to be okay. And that's part of leadership, is convincing them to understand that. No, it may not be exactly what it was before, but we're going to come back to a new norm and it will be okay. So for everybody who knows you and has taken a session from you, they know and will agree with me on this. You are the master at spreadsheets, strategizing, let's say even the next 5 years. How did this pandemic affect you in your whole lifestyle when you couldn't do that anymore? I want, because other people can't do it anymore. So I want to hear how the magic person went from, I know what I'm doing 2 years on Thursday, 2 years from Thursday, to I have no idea what's happening next week. How'd you do that?
It was really hard. It was really, really hard. And you know, it was funny because we went forward and made our giant annual spreadsheet for this year that we're in, right? And like, most of it hasn't happened, and a lot of it's empty because we had this events column, like events of the month, and it was like crossing everything out. None of this is happening. But you know, I don't know. I think it was hard. It was a hard transition. But then it's weird lately, and I think everybody's feeling this. Your calendar, your timeline is just so much shorter, right? Like, things that it's the end of January, I would have my recital figured out. I'd be registering for summer, and we would already be talking about fall registration. Like, at my studio, we'd be doing fall schedule to get ready to launch it. I haven't done any of that. I just booked my recital venue last week. Haven't even told the parents about it yet because I want to sign the contract first, and I haven't got the contract yet. So I'm gonna, so we're so behind. And so I think like everything that I'm used to doing is, I'm not doing it like that right now. It's just so much shorter. I'm like, it's weird, but whatever.
And so one of our viewers, I wish I could say her name, but it just says Facebook user, says the saddest day of the pandemic when I had to take my 6-foot Terry spreadsheet off the wall.
I'm so sorry. We just do another session. This just like 1 week at a time. It's like, this week we're doing this. That's all we got on the spreadsheet.
So what did that change? Will you go as far out in the future? What did it change for you?
I think I will, but I'm definitely not this year. We have our spreadsheet up. I haven't hit any of the deadlines because I thought that we would be ready to do things that we're just not yet. The world isn't yet. I'm hopeful that next year will be a better year and we'll be able to be back to But it's funny because as we did this year's calendar, I was like, you know what, maybe we had too many things on the calendar. Like, I think we were a little overscheduled, just like as our mom, as a family, you're thinking about the same thing for your kids, right? The whole world is kind of like, maybe we were running too fast. And I feel like that in my studio too. Like maybe there were too many events. Maybe we don't need to bring them all back. Maybe we can be a little bit more choosy about that. Or maybe we can divide up our staff differently so we're all not so spread so thin. So it will change how we go back, right? I mean, I think that's across the board. I mean, I don't want to go back to the way that it was, like running as fast as we were.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good segue into this. You may not know this, but one of the things that I admire about you is that you're always, sometimes I'll call you and I'll say, what are you doing on this Saturday? And you'll respond, I'm going to be with my kids, so I'm not going to be able to do that. How have you been able to say, I'm escaping from my business, from this life that I live, and going, I know you have a home in New Hampshire. I know you're headed there with your kids. How do you get to the point where you say, I'm okay with leaving everything and making my kids my priority and making me my priority?
I mean, I think that was a priority for me right from the beginning. Like right when I knew I wanted to have kids and I also wanted to have the studio. So how was I going to do it? And I knew from the beginning I did not want to be at my studio every single night. I knew that. And I mean, I think honestly, when I was at a Project Motivate, when I was very pregnant with my 17-year-old now, so that was
I remember you there, by the way.
18 years ago. And I probably had no right being at a Project Motivate. I think I was due like 3 weeks later, but I was there. And that was one of my questions for everybody. Like, how do we do this? Because the studio needs us after school, but our kids need us after school, like our children. So I don't want to do that. And I remember you saying, you just write that down and make it your goal. What do you want your goal to be? And I was like, I want to be there when the bus drops off my kids. And people at Project Motivate were like, well, that ain't happening. Like that was rarely I remember one dance person in the back was like, that's what daycare is for, honey. And I was like, that was not the answer I wanted.
But that was the attitude. I hate to say it.
Nope, it was. You're right.
But 2 decades ago, like in order to feed my kids, they have to give up this thing or that thing because I have to do this.
Yep.
Now it's not that way.
Lisa Mayu grabbed me in a hallway at that conference. I didn't know her at the time, and said, you'll find your way. Like if that's what you want, set up your schedule to make that happen and make it happen. Because her kids are older than mine, and she was like, it'll be gone before you know it. So I just did. I mean, I staffed up and hired people before I had any right hiring people, and was teaching like 40 classes a week before I had Jake. And then as soon as I did, I was like down to like barely anything. And I don't really, sometimes I have guilt about it, but not really. I try not to. You never stop your mind running. So even if I'm like, I'm going to get in the car, I was saying I'm going to get in the car right after this and drive up to New Hampshire a couple hours to spend the weekend up there with my family. And my mind will race about work the whole time. And I probably will like snuggle up next to the fire and get some work done, but it's not the same, it's different. So, and I don't feel bad about it.
Okay.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can. The guilt part just doesn't serve anybody. And then the reverse of that is true too, like being at work and being guilty for missing, being you're not at home at that certain time. If there's a good balance, then the guilt just doesn't serve anybody. You just have to be where you are and make it work. If it's important for you to be home with your kids, then you have to figure that out. You have to, because the studio will be there. And that is what I tell everybody. If they've talked to me about this, they know, like, you feel like you have the best group of dancers right now. They're the best seniors, and you owe them this amazing senior year. This company team is so good. It's the best duo you've ever choreographed, whatever. But guess what? Like, there'll be another one next year and another one the next year. But your own kids, you get one shot. They will have one senior year. That's it. One baseball playoff game. Like, that's it. And then it's gone. So, you know, like, when you look back at all those senior classes of dancers, they're all special and they hold a special spot in your heart, but they don't compare to your own children, you know? So you make it work. You figure that out.
I just want to say, whoa, what you just said, because I think that we all do think we're disappointing or letting our kids down. When I say our kids, I mean our students. If we don't go the extra mile. But I, like you, have come to realize that that child is in our lives for a couple of years. We've given so much more than they anticipated when they walked into our studio, that we should be giving more, if not equal time to our own kids. And as a dance teacher's son, I'll say that we didn't do what you're doing. My mother didn't make that a priority. Doesn't mean that I didn't grow up in a way where I thought my life was exciting because I had a passion for dance. But had I not had that passion, I'm not sure I would have had as much time with my mom. And as the son talking to a whole bunch of teachers or studio owners, I say what Terry is talking about is really, really important. And what happens is 20 years from now, you'll sit down at Thanksgiving and one of your kids will say something like, well, I remember my championship game and you couldn't be there. And that's going to be, and even if it wasn't said in anger, that's going to be something that just like, wow, inside of your gut. Think about that now. Make sure that that won't happen 20 years from now. I didn't mean to take over for you there, but your point is so important. And isn't there, during this pandemic, isn't that something that we should recognize, and that's really one of the things we can be grateful for, is the time that dance people have spent with their family over the last year. In some cases, it's more time than they've spent with their family in a lifetime.
Yeah, and we do have the freedom to do it. I mean, I know it's, you know, it doesn't feel, you feel like you have no choice, but you do have the choice. Like, we are the ones that make the schedule. We can make them whatever we want to make them. So yeah, I think that's important. I mean, it's not always perfect. I miss things because of work things a lot, but things I have to be at, you know, there's really no, I think it's important sometimes, I think, as owners, to go through the studio things and look at what you absolutely have to be at, things you have to do. Like, nobody else can do them. Nobody else can do this specific job. Nobody else can, you cannot miss this event. And those are the things you do, and those are the things you have to be at. But times when you don't have to be there, then don't be there. You know, I think we have to learn to do that. The owners of all businesses are not always there all the time. You know, our kids will grow up. If you have kids at home, or anything, a family, parents, siblings, friends, whatever, we have to kind of be mindful of our balance.
Cool. So Terry, as we're winding this up, tell me some words of wisdom for the teachers, studio owners. These last couple of weeks, I've noticed that people, you and I have done some sessions together. People seem exhausted at this point. What might you say to those people right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we fought really hard to get through the holidays. I think for me, I know I was like fighting to get to the holidays, through the holidays, whatever was going to happen during the holidays. Is everybody going to get sick? Like, what's going to happen? And now we're past it. We're at the end of January, and now it's kind of catching up to us, I feel like. So yeah, I mean, for me right now, I'm focusing on summer. I'm really thinking about the summer months, what we're going to be able to do in the business, personally, with my family, and kind of focusing on the end of the year there. And right now in the winter, we just need to take care of ourselves, like get our sleep, eat better, get your workout in, maybe wake up a little earlier. Because we're tired. It's been a long time. Like, we were in panic mode for so long, and it really hasn't stopped, but it does need to stop now. Like, we need to stop panicking, and we just need to this is how we're living. We need to take care of ourselves so that we can get through the other side.
I'm with you, my friend. Will you stay with me for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, I want to thank Dance the Magic for their sponsorship. We appreciate you. And before we close this show, Terry, you'll be excited to see this, created by Troy, I'm going to share with you a brand new commercial for the Dance Life Teacher Conference. Okay, I have Troy sitting across from me. That's wicked good, my friend. For those of you
Troy,
who aren't from New England, wicked good means really good. Next week, join us at 8 p.m. We're going to have another great conversation with Amanda Herring, who has a studio in Mississippi. Patty Neal has a studio in New York, and Deborah Steele, Massachusetts. We're going to have an awesome conversation. Again, check out our past episodes of Soul to Soul. There's a podcast there as well at regold.com. And Miss Terry, as we close out this show, some final words of wisdom, my friend. But thank you so much, first of all, for making
you're welcome.
Friday night with us.
You are very welcome. Words of wisdom. I'm not sure what my words of wisdom would be, except to just keep fighting, stay in the arena, keep fighting, keep doing what you do. Just remember that what these kids are doing right now in these studios is so important. I mean, for some of these kids, it's the only thing they're doing. They need it. Their families need it. You need each other. And man, that conference, man, the idea of walking into a room full of dance people and being able to hug your friends again, I'm like, I can't wait. I'm so excited to see my dance friends.
I can't wait either. I have to tell you, every time I make a commercial or I do something conference related, it's like, wow, I can't tell you how much I've missed this and how much, I don't know, just getting together with other dance people. I don't care if we have to stand 6 feet apart, just being in the same room. I can't wait.
I know. I can't wait to. It's going to be great.
Someone wrote hugs here.
Hugs.
We're going to have to learn long distance hugs for a little while. But let me tell you, I am going to be somebody who will just stand there waiting for the hugs when a hug is something we can do. Because I miss that the most.
I know, me too. Just the energy of a full room. Now that energy of a full, like walking into a room full of people, it's going to be great.
But let me say this, because I don't want to end on what we don't have. How lucky are we that it's 2020 and that we have been able to carry on through technology and keep ourselves going, and that we as dance educators have learned this technology and are so much more smarter and capable because we were forced to do so.
Yeah, I mean, changes that we've been making in our studios and in our lives have been huge and important and probably long overdue, right?
Yeah.
And then so that makes it so exciting.
Thank you all for tuning in. I see all these comments. I appreciate you being a part of our show. Tell your friends about Soul to Soul, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Thank you, Miss Terry. Have an awesome weekend, everyone.
Bye.